checking to see where everything's at right now. Not technically watching from the backside. It seems this might be. No, it says live. What the heck's going on? It should be. There it is. Yeah, I'm trying to change some things on the back end, so you can imagine that I'm trying to run the studio in the background right now. To go with the fact that I'm on now, simply so that I can update some things on the back end while I'm here. Should probably close off this stuff. I shut the room. Hi, kitty. Hi, kitty. New kitty. We call him Bowie. I just did quite a bit of long live with a few friends. Old friends, new friends. I don't understand why that wouldn't be working already. I've been trying to show some of the updates. Yeah. That's updated. Now I got to update the photos. Customization. Yeah, see, I thought I had already fixed this, but my computer crashed again, so I had to go through and get a whole other extra external hard drive and start putting things on that because it got that bad. So I had to move quite a few things around, which took out the backgrounds that I had set up. So having to redo that and see. Of course, I was supposed to use my intro song first, but because I am on live, technically mobile, because I am on the iPad, and you can't see the chat. I have to pop it up on my own here. Live chat. Now it's going to pop up on my screen. Is this it? Yes. Of course, I needed the pixelation, so yay to that. Now I gotta go. That's what we're doing. I knew I needed to update something. I don't know if you guys have checked out the updates for the website. I got some new graphics on there I'm super proud of. And we're going to go in here and close that out and open. I've started making fillable worksheets, workbooks, and stuff like that to share with people so that they can help them. Try to make it international type. I'm making them extensions of my workspace. So once you are a member of the Punchline and Panic supply company, you basically I'm making my own, like you guys, it's my Etsy shop, I guess, and then you use what you use here, and then you give me ideas to make more, and then that's where the barter system comes in. So if you have a business and you are stuck somewhere in the levels of what that means, like you've never done your own taxes, you don't know, you've done your own business for 5 years and you've never done taxes. So let's go ahead and walk through that's one of the things I've already done, is where we walk through how to do Schedule C, California Schedule C amendments, and be able to show that you've been a business for as long as you've been, type situation. So YouTube channel ban. I don't like that it's going to be that small inward. I just want to do my own. I just need the space. Oh, that's cool. Bum, 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 bum. A lot of these backgrounds are awesome. I do really love Canva for all of this stuff. I'm just going to steal this template real quick and just delete everything in the template. I just want the size, guys. delete, 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 delete. Guess I could leave that there. No, delete. I don't need it. I actually kind of like the background, but I don't think it's going to mix with the... Oh, yeah. Start saving your things in branding so that you don't have to keep, like, trying to find them. Make sure to click on component and add your component information in that way, so that you're not stuck trying to figure out spacing and things like that. It'll set it up for you, and then you can go into things like expand, magic expand, when you have pro and things like that. Go in and edit so that you can fill the space, but keep it in the where you're supposed to keep it to. So don't want to do that. What am I doing? Okay, you gotta go in and detach the component so that you can mess with it. And then I wanna, oh, it's not gonna let me because it's not treating it as a picture. So let's do this. No, that screws with it way more than I want it to. Ooh, actually, I kind of like it on the just plain, but no, we're gonna leave that there. I wish I could show you guys what I was doing. I am planning on going live from my Canva through my website to show more of these small business hack stuff that I've been doing. Because like I said, I can build a website with my domain already connected to Canva. I can build website pages that I can attach to that are behind a paywall through Canva with my domain already linked to it. So I can have 15 websites with 15 different toolkits and all the website, and they'd be linked to my website behind a paywall, meaning you can only look at it if you pay for it. And that allows for cut the middleman. So basically that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to very hard cut the middleman out, like Spotify or Shopify, and not necessarily use it. But right now I'm on Shopify. You can see the products that are on there. Some of the formatting is not right, hence why I would like to turn everything into HTML and run it through there, and you have access to where you log in, and you have so many access points for the price. If you want one access point, obviously it's going to cost more because you're only going to have one, and most people will either print, save, PDF. So I have to make that. I have to get a watermark associated with it so that if you try to print it, the watermark goes all the way across it. So if you were trying to share it with somebody else, like, you're going to see my name on it. Because again, as a self-published author, you could steal my stuff and publish it as your own. So I want any type of access to that to be done only with my watermark. So that's why everything's going through a paywall through my website. I would like, I don't mind sharing my information, and I don't mind giving out my knowledge, but I'm going to be compensated for it. I'm no longer going to be exploited by others simply because I don't know the difference. I know the difference now, and I want to help other people see the difference themselves, not get stuck in a rut of not having the energy to complete tasks that you once did because of it's no longer fun, building and doing what it is that we used to. Because, fun makes it worth it. A lot more than, no fun. So, as long as it's worth it, I feel like half the time, that's what makes it worth it even more. So, let's mimic that. Hello. Hope you're having a good day. I cannot see who you are saying hello. If you already said hello and the chat popped up, I didn't see it. I apologize. Let's see. It's just gonna say, oh, it's my hubby. Hi, babes. Yeah, I was just on TikTok, so I decided, why not come on here and update everybody and do a little updating for the website and talk about it, because it's seems to be when I talk about it the most is when I'm actively doing it. So I know everybody hasn't seen me in a while. I do apologize. Life has been lifing. But I'm much better now, and I'm excited to do and I'm excited about what's coming next. I've got a lot of collaboration type things going on, and like I said, I'm super excited about. I can't wait to be able to talk more about what it is that I'm up to. I'm going to start um, working on the podcast reads because I have to do the book as well as the podcast. So I'm going to read to the book, turn that into the audio that it's supposed to be, and then take that from where it's at to extend it into the podcast reads. So you can purchase said podcast reads after the live. So if you've heard it once and you're like, oh my gosh, I totally need to share this with all of these people and turn it into a training in whatever topic that it is, then you can do that by purchasing workshops or, the information from me and teach others. And it is the majority of all of what you're going to be learning in my book and everything is reputable. It's on a, it's background. There's background. There's research. There's, it's been thoroughly vetted. And that's what the new thing is. Like I said, I'm super excited, and we call that Punchlines and Panic Supply Company because that's what we are. We are, if anything, we know how to make fun of ourselves and show the human side of us, and ask for help. And that's what we are always going to be, full of punchlines and panic. We're here to manage the chaos that is whatever you consider chaos in your meltdown scenario, because that's pretty much what it is. We're here to help you work through your triggers and through your trauma, because it is trauma informed, and we're here to work through your triggers and help you respond instead of react. Put yourself in a better space in your mind and in yourself to see that you're not alone. There are so many of us out here struggling with being nice to people we don't feel like we have to, and kind of talking us through that. I have a lot of ODD going on right now. There's a lot of people running around saying they know what to, they get it, they see, this is how it works, and then nothing. They're not doing nothing about it. Me, as the whistleblower that I am, is kind of just over it and overwhelmed with the idea of living in quote unquote society any longer. So this is going to become, walk through the book, talk about the executive functioning, and then follow through with the rest of the books and start pulling people in and doing interviews with people and sitting down with reputable people who have been doing this for years and talk about, what it is that they're doing, self-help books. If it's I gotta pay for, if it turns into I have to pay for like a sit down actual conversation, I will do that, because it's not going to be some kind of, it could easily become a holy crap, I would never have experienced this sensation or come to this understanding if it wasn't for someone else's generosity. And that's what I want to do. I want to pay all of this forward, what I've managed to dig up about who I am and the accountability that I now hold over myself, to stick with boundaries that I've set, to stop people pleasing in order to gain acceptance. I am who I am. I'm good at what I do. Either you're here because I'm good at what I do, or you're here to, for a lifetime like me, because I'm going to be here for you. And even those people that I am not around anymore, you're out doing good in your life, I'm here for it. I'm still sending others your way, I promise. I'm still trying to, help you do what it is that you do. Because you still deserve, the long haul chance that life gets a little easier because you're doing what you love every day. Because I mean, I want to do what I love every day. I really, really, really want others. I want others to have that same, opportunity, because I think we all deserve to do what we love. I think we all deserve to be happy in the choices that we make as adults. And the wonderful thing I just learned recently was about, the levels of consent. I never realized that there were so many levels of consent. And to know that, if I don't consent to that anymore, that I can say, hey, I'm done, and no one get upset with me or get, mad at me for making that choice. So, yeah, it's hard sometimes living in this world full of, what do I do now? And I seriously want and need a space to say, hey, I want to hang out with you. Let's collaborate it and let's monetize it. Because a lot of the people that I've spent a lot of time, supporting in the shadows, that's exactly what they're having to do. They're having to collaborate their friendships and their lives as one whole thing, because, it's not just because it's marketable, but because it is what it is. Why would you go and put all this effort into a life, that you weren't actually wanting to live in the end? I don't, I wish I had the energy to start over every 6 weeks because something didn't work out for me, because we've rebranded Just Rant Already. Because we have rebranded the Just Rant Already podcast, we are going to be having sit-down talks. We're going to be talking about relationships, and we're going to be talking about boundaries and consent and things like that. And I'm happy to have others, because some of the hardest relationships I've had to put my foot down and say, no, I can't do this anymore, have been, I would have to say, the accountability was more on me than it was on that person. They were the exception to the rule, and I've found that there should never be an exception to the rule, especially when it comes to boundaries. And so that's been beneficial. At this time, though, I don't want life to become so busy that I have to check out for months on end, like I have been doing. I would love to be able to do a vlog style weekly update, and just hang out and say hi, but that's not making any money for me. That's not becoming monetized. So, building the podcast, the Punchlines and Panic podcast, it's just a branch of letting people know what the content is, where the ideas are, where it's going to go from there. Punchline and Panic Supply Company is going to be a research model, hopefully, for neurodivergent remote communities, and how they can become a self-sufficient entity, and a networking community-based support for those who aren't considered high-level need, but are so perfectionist and so people-pleasing that they fear asking for help unless they've got a partner in that help and a partner in that need. So body doubling for workload anxiety, the collective Excel group, the intake consultations are obviously going to be an hour long, because I need to sit down and listen to you talk about what your needs are. And then I need to be able to, 1 week from then, throw ideas, soundboard ideas towards you to see what seems to work. But in that week, am going to tear into your life and see what your habits are and see what your schedules are like, because the schedules that we plan and the schedules that we keep are two different things. And I mean that in wholeheartedly love and respect, with time blindness as a neurodivergent person. I could sit here for hours and forget that I'm communicating, or forget that I'm even online, and start dozing off and squirrel or whatever, get sidebarred from what it is that I'm actually doing. So definitely being able to say, hey, um, but yeah, so working on the workplace recommendations, that's been a huge part of what this network started to become anyway. Where I was an outreach resource for things like office management, project management, event. My sister has called me for travel plans. My sister has asked me to look up, directions, things like that, as a personal assistant. Those were attributed to anyone. You could give me a list of, these are the places, this is the amount of money I have, these are the list of places I would like to go during this time of year, which one is the best for a 10-person family trip. And did research like that for 3 hours, and she got a, good size bonus for being able to find that within a 24-hour request. So knowing that there are things out there, hey, you want a job? It's $30. It's this, and that. Turning it into a neurodivergent Fiverr, if you will, or Etsy, if you will. We take on hyper focused crafting, hobbies. Why not, while we're making that a hobby and fine tuning it, we make content videos teaching others how, or sell our completed, one-offs, and be compensated for our hobbies. Because someone is, they like odd and weird shaped this or that. That's the point. The point is getting us all together and making our hobbies worth our expenses, making it worth our time, and because we as sole proprietor small businesses, we don't pay ourselves for our time. You can't do that till you're in the, up there in the monies. So yeah, in times like this, let's turn our hobbies into a paycheck. And let me teach you how. So that was the update. Like I said, the website's got a facelift, rebranded, got a few extra new things that coming along, which I'm super excited about. I'm gonna put up a schedule stream so that you'll see that I will be live during certain hour times, and this will stay on the live video. Usually they don't stay on. Usually the last few times I have decided to make them private, but the few updates here and there, obviously I'm not going to make them private. But this is an update for now because I plan on taking this, editing it in with my July update. So I will be manipulating this live stream to add it as a short, to add it with all the other updates and, adventures I've been up to lately, and what's, the new stuff here and there that I've been going through this month. So everybody here can see that I'm good and that I'm soon to be back. Very, very soon to be back. Working on a time frame around this time to be live so that I can say, hey, what's up to the morning guys, and say goodnight to some of my others on the East Coast. So 4:30 to 9:30 might be a good slot for me. Staying on for 5 hours is probably not going to be something I do unless I do all 5 hobbies, at least an hour of each hobby. And again, I may not. But I definitely want to stay available at least once a week live to say hi to everybody if they want to pop in or they want to stay in the chat or, catch me up. So, because I do miss everybody. And they can, they can tell me what they have or have not seen lately, what would help them see my content more, as perusers of social media. So I've officially hit my 24-minute mark. I'm going to let you guys go because I have a few more updates to do in the background before I can make them public. But again, we'll go over it. Shopify shop is open. Go to the website. It's got a bunch of links here and there. It'll take you to it. There's updated pages. I've consolidated some pages. I've added some pages. live streams now optional on there, that this hopefully one day will be streaming with just my voice and a picture over the front of it, because you will only get to see my face on the website. But yeah, that's what I'm doing right now, is building an OBS system to be able to run all of social media with just audio and a picture of me, maybe bouncing around talking, I don't know, chasing someone down, something funny. And that's what I'm building up right now. I'm drawing my own stick figure ninja run course of me. Yeah, it's pretty funny. And it's just something that you guys can watch and giggle at while I'm probably in your pocket, or, just in your headphones, so that you don't feel like you're missing out on physically watching what's happening, unless you jump over to the website, and then you'll actually see me and whoever else is hanging out on screen. I'm going to try to make the videos that you guys see on the apps individual for like whoever might be a guest that day, but that might just get overwhelming. I might only do like 2 or 3 and that's it. So, but no, it's going to be fun, because instead of having an intro video, I'm just going to have a video playing like this. You guys are only going to hear my audio, and if you pop over to the website, you'll see me. And the same thing will be when I'm busking. The same will be when I'm out in public, because I'm going to start wearing this microphone and actually start vlogging my life, where you guys don't necessarily see what's going on, because it might not be a space where I'm allowed to record, but you will get to hear me. So go with me for here, go with me for there, kind of showing you guys what it is I do and how different I am in public because of my agoraphobia. And for you guys to kind of see that, because eventually we will get to that book in the series, and why my executive functioning issues and symptoms make my agoraphobia worse. So, and that's how that's how Punchlines and Panic came to be, was making fun of the fact that I have these disorders that innately in my brain, as an educated person, know that with the right medication and the right therapy, I could stop having these feelings. But also accepting parts about myself that I can't control. And that would be my Tourette's. And that would be another reason why. So again, the whole series is based on my executive functioning, and then my disorders, in which just sometimes cannot maintain, and more or less guidance to explain to other people, if a doctor ever decided they wanted to sit down and read a 400-page book, and get to know me in a sense, like my childhood and the experiences and the trauma-informed therapy that I know I need, and that has been so beneficial for me, to encourage other people to do the same. And that's what the book itself does. It gives you space to write down your own thoughts and your own feelings. Peter, it's so nice to see you. But yeah, doing some more things, getting further in depth into what it is that I'm doing, because eventually I do want to be in the research analyst part. I definitely want to start working on occupational psychology and behavioral psychology, and how to make it okay to be, I don't understand this. Why do you do it this way? Like, I don't know how many bosses I've told, like, I don't care if you're breaking the law, you're the boss. Like, you're the one that's going down for all this. I just want to know what I'm supposed to say if somebody asks. Like, because I really don't care. But then there's sometimes when it's horrible, horrific, and hell yeah, I'm telling on you, you're a dick situations. But there are, gray areas in the world, especially now, where if what you're doing is for good and your intent is to help people, I don't necessarily feel like I want to tell on you. I've learned, that whole back in the day in the 50s and 60s, when the cop would chase the guy down the street and then realize he was just stealing bread to feed his family, he went back and paid that quarter, 50 cents, and said, oh, the guy just ran home to get his money. He gave it to me, and here you go. And, I told him not to come back around here unless he has money in his hand when he comes first. And, kind of gave the guy a break, because, they saw the need for it. We don't not necessarily have a lot of people like that in the world anymore. And if they are, they're hiding because they're getting exploited. Well, that's where we're at. We're let's get paid for helping. Let's get paid for giving away our demographic information. Let's start getting paid for giving our opinion on products, instead of just having them take it for, give it to us for pennies on the dollar. That's what I'm talking about. Building structures like that. Someone who loves to try new things, or, someone who loves to travel and has the money to do so, would love to start doing a vlog, but they don't got the money to, do the editing or pay the producer or things like that. Well, guess what? I do, and I even know a list of places that would love to have you come and pay a third of the price to, try out their stuff and be honest about your reviews because of your age range. A lot of people ask, what is there to do? Or call and ask, like, is there a video I can watch to see, like, kind of what you got? Not really. People see as, vloggers coming and travel people coming through and doing those travel things and doing all the things and associating the place with it help, the revenue, help get the word out. So that's pretty much what we're about. We're like, what is it called? Invitation only, like word of mouth only, a referral only, I want to know who it is that's referring you here, because yes, I could easily help you get a license and doing what it is that you're doing and totally use you for a summer. Totally use you for a summer, like building chicken coops, because we're gonna sell a bunch of chicken coops, and you only needed a summertime job, to get some networking and get some references and stuff, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, if you need a little bit of time to leg up, it's that whole, like, you've trucked all the way there. You're like a mile and a half from the end, and you're like, I can't do it anymore. It's that support that kicks in right there and says, here, throw some water in your face and, tell you got this, and just give you that support that you need at the finish line, especially if you're someone like me and do a lot of things on your own and start to feel a little less appreciated for how much work you put into your own stuff. Because I get overwhelmed sometimes. I'm like, I've sat here for hours and hours and hours to figure this out and nobody wants it. And then a bunch of people go, oh yeah, I was looking for something like that a few weeks ago. These people do that. And I'm going, corporate America, kind of growling at it. And then even the funnier part is they're like, do you know this program? I'm like, I actually do know this program. And they're like, well, I'm stuck here, and there. Can you help me? And I'm like, I don't really want to. I don't want to help you because you could have asked me to begin with and you wouldn't have had that problem. But you can't be petty. That's the other problem with remote work. You can't be petty when someone's offering you a $1.25 an hour job, because technically they're going to pay you the same amount. It would take someone 5 hours and it takes you 15. So technically I'm getting $15 in 15 minutes, but the next person isn't going to, they're getting exploited, because it is going to take them 5 hours to do something. And that ends up being $1.75 an hour. Yeah. No. Because you got to think about taxes, when you work sole. For every $20 bill you make, you have to give someone $5. Just think of it that way. Every 2/3, 3/4 of the amount of money you make, you have to give a fourth of it away, first and foremost, and then give a third of it away after it's all counted up again. So that's what I try to help people with small business. If you're going to make a large purchase, make sure that it's a large purchase you can use for your small business. And you're going, well, I can't really afford to splurge. Yes, you can, when 2/3 of that write-off is going to be for a small business. You say you make cupcakes and you sell cupcakes as a homesteader out of your home. You need to have a double oven that can handle the capacity of cupcakes that you need. Well, I don't want to buy that for my house. I would rather just rent it. Well, when you rent it, it ends up being 10 times more. You're just best to go get a business loan, put it into there, and half of the time that stove is there is being used for business only. You're not cooking anything in it personal for 10 hours a day. That would make sense. There's stuff like that. That's where you got to take your brain to, because when you're a small business and every penny of your paycheck goes to your small business, every bit of money you spend on your small business needs to account for the expenses for your individual life. That's the best part about being a sole proprietor, is that you are living to do your hobby. You're living to be your business, your brand, and that's where I like to get in with neurodivergent people because they will feel guilty. I feel guilty buying myself this printer, but I need it to do this, this, and then stop. Okay, well, how long is it going to take you to pay it off? Oh, it'll take me 3 jobs, and that's a week. Oh, well, then why are you upset? You know, it took you 3 jobs, less than a week to pay off that whole printer. You know, and they're like, but there's no but. You know, when you live in a community like I'm talking about, I go to thrift stores and I buy like name brand $100+ clothing. If there was a resale room where I could go in and be like, oh my gosh, I love this, I'm totally grabbing this, and I'm going to pay a certain amount of money because I'm going to pay $8. Every time you sell a dress that you bought for $8, if you resell a dress for $8 every time, you made your $8 back, 4 times, fourfold. And that's what you do. You take what you have, and when you don't need it anymore, you put it for others to purchase for the same amount of money you purchased it for. You're putting that same amount of money in your pocket, and you don't have to worry about storage or things like that. You don't have to worry about it going to some space where someone's going to turn around and sell it for $150 because that's what it is online. You don't want to encourage other people to take stuff out of your mouth that makes food off your table. But at the same time, my cohort down here next door to me has $8 they can spend on a dress that they need for, their content videos. They're going to use it 10 times and then resell it. They made their money worth out of it. I got my money worth out of it. I feel like I know a lot of people who have a lot of shame and guilt and are very depressed because they are shopaholics and they throw away clothes that have price tags on them because they don't want anyone to know that they have all that to give away. They don't want people to realize, oh, you're in a lot of credit card debt by buying all these things, and that's shameful, because they're ADHD and they have impulse control issues. All that shame just causes them to do it more and more and more instead of being in a group of people that go, girl, you need to go thrift shopping with me. If you're good at shopping, then you should go thrift shopping, because thrift shopping and treasure hunting, that is so much more fun because you can find items that are resaleable for 100 to 200 to 300% more. I know a lot of women who use retail therapy at thrift stores and open their own thrift stores because they got so much thrift to give away. Again, if it's your coping skill and it didn't hurt anybody and it's definitely helping others, I know my thrifting helps others. I know being able to turn around and go, look, chick, I paid $10 for this. I wore it 5 times already. I already got my 50% out. Here you go. You can have it. Help you look bougie. Help you look dressed up. Look more professional in your lifestyle. Feel more upper class or however you might see it personally. It gives you a big giant boost. It's watching things like that happen. So bring peace, spread joy. I want other people to benefit from their experiences in life and not wish they could have done it differently. Help them step out on the right foot, or their right foot, not my right foot. And that's opened up a lot of doors into collaborating even more. And I love that part because I'm collaborating with people that know what I'm talking about. Collaborating with people that are like, oh my gosh, I've done very much similar research. Oh my gosh, I've done very much, I've very much lived a life in that sense. I hate that feeling when you walk into a room and you're like, I totally missed whatever joke just happened, whatever joke was just told. I hate that feeling. I don't want anyone to ever feel that. And having a space that's like, no, dude, you're good. You come as you are, where you are. We're happy to say you're welcome. We're happy to say, hi, how you doing? We're happy to with consent and all, give input on whatever input is asked. That's the best. That's what I like about the collective exhale. It's almost like a ABA DBT therapy session centered around like NAAA, where we're talking about our issues and we're voicing consent at the beginning, stating I'm here to vent, and that's it. I'm not here to listen to what you might have to say to me. I'm here to vent, and I'm here to listen about everybody else's issues right now because it's going to help me put my issues in perspective. And some of those meetings were the best meetings because then I was like, oh, I don't have to talk. Oh, I don't have to even look at people. I can just sit here, relax. I don't have to worry about eye contact. I can zone in and out of the conversation if it doesn't, apply to me. Those were the funnest conversations I was a part of, and growth, and getting to know who I was, and seeing my addiction from a different point of view. Because normally I see my addiction as something that's trying to drag me to hell. But seeing it as a coping mechanism and seeing what I've replaced it with has not always been healthy either, but socially acceptable. That didn't help. I didn't want to be socially acceptable. Half the time I was doing what I was doing to be just to keep up socially. And how unhealthy that was. And then I put myself in even more self-harm situations where I was becoming people pleasing and indebted to some people because they did something for me once. And that, I know that it's been rough. Like, I have to go, we're going back to Happy Camp soon, for a memorial. We've lost our good friend Dinah last month. That hit pretty hard. She's who married me and Ryan, but she was very much like my great aunt and Ryan's, adopted mom. She took him under her wing, and she was very supportive of him, and she let him run with his ideas. Not much like most others had in the past. He definitely got to show what he had to show and what he was capable of doing, and it was a great partnership. And when we left, it was sad. She was one of the ones that was like, if I had a big enough house, you all would live with me. She didn't want us to leave. And I would have, like I said, I would have loved to have stayed. I would have loved to have been able to have more of a foundation to be on. But at the same time, I'm happy not to be stuck. I'm happy not to be, doing airlifts of food and supplies in and out. Because I was getting to the point where I couldn't drive in and out anymore. The anxiety was just too much. And the what if with when we left, to go get our wedding stuff the day before the wedding, the town started on fire, couldn't get to my kids, I couldn't leave when the kids weren't with us. It was hard. And yeah, it was, again, it's past and triggered reoccurring, thoughts and feelings that have happened in the past, and how you can't sit here and tell me that couldn't happen again. Kind of the scenarios, that kept me and put me where I was. And I tell my counselors, I tell my teachers, everyone around me all the time, my support system, like, when my agoraphobia and my body team up, you cannot. It's the ODD. You cannot. I am going to tell you to F off and yeet off into the outbox, because I am not going to do anything at all that you tell me to do, even if it's good for me. I'm going to tell you to F off, because, yeah. And that's always hard, especially when it's somebody that cares about me and is saying something to me because they care about me, and they see that I'm self-harming by isolating and by not reaching out and not talking to people, not saying, being who I am when everything's good. It's hard on my friends, because I'm there. I'm a lot of there. I've got something to say about a lot of things. And then when I go on when I kick into I can't mode, it affects them. And I realize that. So I'm trying to make it a weekly type setup where 2 times a week I come on social media in some way or form and say, hey, what's up? This is why I am. Now if you didn't know, now you know, type scenarios, and being able to be myself. And again, not always have the camera on, and not always presenting, and not always performing. But at the same time, if I want to perform, I can. The ODD is getting, like I said, when it's substantial, and even when my doctors are like, totally makes sense that you would not want to be here. I'm like, don't tell me that. My responsibility as the adult is to be here for this doctor's appointment. And they're like, but we totally understand. Like, you're in a whole lot of physical pain, and you're. It's hard to stay consistent when your own medical insurance is saying that the medication you're getting is not working for you, because in all other aspects, the people that take it only need it this many times and never need it again. And I'm like, bro, I am not those people. This is the scenario that I'm in, and I do need this. And so my poor doctors and my poor insurance and my poor pharmacists are having to figure out how to word these things to explain to, um, you know, explain to insurance that this is also used for a diagnosis that I have, which is Tourette's. So it took 3 months to convince Medi-Cal, hey, this person has Tourette's. It's on their diagnosis. They have a piece of paper that states they have Tourette's, and this medication helps people with Tourette's, and to be able to get a medication that's going to help me with my joint pain because of my ligaments and all these other things that are going on with my body. And so I don't want to have to be a full body advocate, but I also don't want to show up one day in a wheelchair because I physically can't walk, and function in that sense anymore. I don't want to scare everybody, so if I'm going through it, y'all are going through it with me. So the 24th, I will be having surgery. I will be going through a vlog set up through the pre-op, which is on the 14th, and do a little walkthrough, because I'm going to ask them, can we do a walkthrough of like what's going to happen and where I'm going to be, because hopefully if I can get my anxiety to be low before they put me under, I'll stay under. I really don't want to wake up and grab the doctor's hand while he's cutting on my shoulder. I definitely don't want to flail my arm if he touches a nerve. So having to have those conversations with the doctor and kind of let them know and ease my anxiety so that it's a good transition. I would hate for a 2-hour surgery to have to go to 6 because they had to repair something I ripped as I was cut open and anything like that. So, yeah, it's how can I take care of my body so that my body doesn't count as a negative towards my my numbers, my 1 to 10. How good do you feel today? How bad do you feel? And what level are you at in that? And then a lot of the times it's sensory overload. But lately it's been ODD. The doctor saying you need to do this, and I'm going, it's not my job. Why can't you do it? And trying not to be too much. And the poor doctor's telling me every time, you're not too much. Oh my goodness, Austin, you're not the only patient that I have that has these same symptoms. We're all working together. We're all different. This person didn't have a car accident, but they had a traumatic brain injury. And that's what I think that sometimes maybe you might have. And I'm like, oh, we want to talk about that? That happened a long time ago. And he goes, oh my gosh, let me write it on a list. Like, these poor doctors are trying to figure out what Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is and how it is affecting other people's bodies and responding differently, and how, yay, they have these new diagnoses, but handing them new diagnosis without, quantifiable demographics is hard, because you don't want it to show up as women. You don't want it to show up as neurodivergent only, because when research hits plateaus like that, they get cut off. And that's why I want to be the research analyst that I am for late age diagnosed, female at birth, and they're, whether they had support or no support, and have them be who write up the questionnaires. This is the support I wish I had. These are the questions I wish somebody would ask me. Because in fight or flight or freeze, the nervous system shuts down any type of communication and language barriers, or will build on those symptoms. So if you become I become so non-communicative that I will sleep, because I get to the point where I couldn't voice my concerns or my feelings or the level of pain that I'm in right now. So I'm just going to go to sleep. I'm just going to lay here with my eyes closed until I sleep. And sometimes that ends up being 3 months because my body's recuperating and my body's in that much pain. Or I've, literally used all the spoons and the forks for the last 3 months in one day to get through one activity because it was surrounded by a lot of people, that I did not feel safe around. And that's the worst part. My husband is there to make me feel safe. And when even with his presence, I don't feel safe, that sucks because those are scenarios where, like, court, where I had to go, and then I had to pay for someone to be there to help me feel safe, so there are situations and scenarios where the support can help, where I could be on the phone, while I'm in your ear and headphones and you're walking through something, and I'm here to help you, remind you to breathe because you're sounding like you're hyperventilating, or remind you to put your feet flat, and sit up straight and breathe through your nose, not your mouth, things like that to help you not have a panic attack, touching, lymphatic release, while you're having what feels like a panic attack can help soothe and slow breathing and things like that, like techniques that I learned as a kid that I didn't know were techniques for having anxiety and having depression and social anxiety or stage fright or things like that. It just made sense to me. It helped me. Sitting there tapping my hand. People thought, oh, they're tapping to the music. I'm like, I'm tapping my body, so I ignore the fact that y'all are staring at me because I feel like pins and needles in my skin. And just as long as they didn't know it, I didn't sound so crazy. But nowadays, I want to hear all these things. I want to hear what your triggers and traumas were because I want to know how normal I am in the realm of weirdo. Because I'm happy to be a weirdo. I think just knowing about other people's experiences can help me relate to mine. And what is it? Make the mountain make my anthill. What is it? Make a mole mound out of an anthill. Minimizing my anxiety, not by ableistics, comments or things like that, or like, just, you got this, you can do this, you're fine. And I'm going, no, your level of fine is a 6 on my scale. So no, I am not fine. 6 is overwhelmingly I'm going to be in debt, if that makes sense. When it's meet someone halfway and you have to give 60%, that's not halfway. Now I'm in debt. Now I have to figure out where I'm going to get 10% of my energy from. And eating's probably not going to be one of them. So, coming together and talking about stuff like that, talking about the comorbidities that we have that are along with our neurodivergent symptoms, and being able to turn our quote unquote weaknesses into monetary, action. I know a lot of people are like, I have so much anxiety when I go here, and there. And I'm like, oh my God, please tell me. Because I would love to create something that would help someone, like an app where they're like, I am non-communicative in large crowds. I would love for there to be an app where I can walk up to someone and ask them for help, tell them what my sizes are, and they could help me walk around stores. I'm like, there are actually people like that at stores. You walk up to them, you tell them, that's my scenario. You make an appointment online. They're like, no, wait. And I'm like, yeah, you can schedule appointments at Victoria's Secret. You can schedule appointments at Macy's. You can, I think Ulta used to, I'm not sure if they do anymore, but I remember you could make an appointment and call in and be like, I would like to have a store personnel walk around with me and help me decide what it is that I don't know. I'm new to this country, or I just was never girly, or no one ever taught me this. Like, I would walk in there and say, if there's needs being met like that in brick and mortar stores, then we should be able to do that kind of stuff remotely. I know a lot of people that downloaded that app where it's like, have a buddy call you, like, you could text this number and be like, I need to talk to someone, and it was just somebody called you, and it was like a voice message of them giving you, like, you got this, dude, you're gonna nail this presentation. And like, it was like a AI buddy call-in thing back before, right before AI was huge. And it was like they would clap for you and they would just cheer you on and stuff like that. I love that. I love that idea. But again, for neurodivergent people, like, I would love to be able to start a program and be like, oh, it's all anime and Comic-Con, and like, dude, we get together once a month and dress up and hang out on Zoom and give our little spiels. And if we have our artistic creative, if we have a booth or whatever, talk about our stuff and listen to constructive criticism on what could help us. You know, I don't know how many times I've walked up to booths and been like, dude, you're so underselling. You're underselling your stuff. Your stuff is really awesome, very good quality. I would totally give you $5, $10 more than this. And they're like, yeah, but we want little kids to be able to do it. And I was like, do it a little smaller then. It'll be worth the donation that you're doing by giving it up for a smaller price. I go, plus, then you can make doubles where they're like brother, sister, no mates, like best friend stuff. And they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. That'd be so cool. Like a best friends. Like I said, yeah. And they started doing it and bam, started making good money off of it. And they're like, oh my gosh, thank you for your advice. I'm like, dude, it's just, you seem like somebody that it would be easy for you to go in and switch something up in your machine and be able to do exactly what I said and it not cost you an arm and a leg and 3 Sundays. And they're like, oh, exactly. And I'm like, see, I would love to be a booth where you walk up and you'd be like, what do you do? I'm like, what do you need? And I'd be like, respectively, I've been struggling with this. Could you help me? And I'd be like, hold on. Do. Here you go. You want me to walk you through it? Here you go. I would love to be able to do that kind of stuff. I would love to be able to go and sit in like a senior citizens home reception area and have every one of them walk up to me if they're having issues with their emails or how to text their grandkids or how to save a photo on their cloud, like stuff like that. Like I would love to be a available resource for a community like that, for that part of our communities. I'd love to be able to volunteer and give my time back because I remember doing that as a kid, going and singing on Sundays and stuff for them and giving them, the upbeat smiles and feeling of what they would get from worship music, and seeing all that on their face and knowing it didn't cost me nothing. Well, I mean, of course, I was 4. It didn't cost me nothing. It cost my parents something, but it didn't cost me nothing. And just kind of took that and, live a life of that. And again, brings you back to bring peace, spread joy. I'm here to see you win. And a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people don't believe it. I'm here to see you win. I'm here to see you grow beyond any realm of who you thought you were going to be because you let things go that were holding you back and you jumped through the fear of what ifs and came out on the other side more than capable and ready to teach or to educate, not even teach, but I mean make content where you educate others or just go out of your way to help a marginalized group of people. I love that. I love that. It's not just about meeting new people and building relationships and building networking and all that stuff. Family is because you work at it. Just like a husband and a wife work at a relationship, family works together. You got a job to get done and you can't bear the weight of it. Let me shoulder some of that weight for you while you do what you need to do. And it's not always hand in hand helping someone. You could be answering phone calls or editing emails, while they're out manually labor, doing some volunteer work or pulling a manual labor job that you physically can't do. It's just taking some of this doom scrolling time and turning it into profit. Because, some people like to watch that stuff and can tell people what's hot, what's not. And that's very valuable. Super, super valuable when it comes to demographics. And where should I sell this? Where are you seeing this more, used, utilized? And what parts of, the United States or even internationally? And being able to be a beacon for that, be able to be hyper focused on, oh yeah, I can tell you analytics here and there. Oh yeah, I totally get statistical this and that. You got AI doing a lot of these jobs when it could be a full on person leaving less and less carbon footprint to stay mainstream, but at the same time be ground roots community built. Yep. That's the network. That's what we're hoping for. And I see a lot of people in need of, damn, I just need a space to stay and not get in trouble. 60 minutes. Where's Mark? I'm going to say it wrong. Hit the minute mark, the hour mark. Sorry, Mark. Ha ha ha. But no, I love what I've learned by just being allowed to be present and being allowed to ask questions. And I just love that feeling of community, of being like, wait a minute, hold on, I think I missed something. Did I miss something? And being able to retract my statement whenever, be like, you know what, I'm totally wrong. You're right. I'm looking at that big picture now, and I see, you know, and everybody's adult, and it's okay that we disagree. It's okay that we don't all get along in the stream of life, but at the same time, we are respectful of each other and what we're doing and what we are trying to build. You're not happy with me, and you tell me that in private, and we both say, okay, good riddance, best of luck to you on your own and me on mine. That means that's where it stays, right? That means that's where we don't get along. That's great. And, you know, we don't have to. But at the same time, I'm not giving up my seat. And I don't expect someone else to give up their seat. Because, yeah, because social media and other people don't always like to see people benefiting from the hard work that they put in. We've seen a lot of that happening, and it's rough. It's rough to see somebody, you know, I'm doing this and that. Like, I've grown, y'all. I'm supposed to be giving shout outs. That's the other thing I was trying to do, guys. Sorry, I totally sideswiped into whatever else we're doing. I'm supposed to be giving shout outs because I got some new followers, some new subbies. Let's see if it's going to let me look at them. I think we're up. We're up like 7, guys. You guys are amazing. Actually, I think we're up 8. Oh, see, I'm not on here enough, y'all. I don't even know. Do I click? I click right there? No, I click in the background, right? I click in the back. YouTube Studio. Let's see. I got what? I got 9 views on this video already. You guys are awesome. Reset. Jamar. Recently, it's been Jamar over the last 90 days. And before that, let's see, last year, Wade Jr., sorry, XOXO. That one I totally blew my own mind with that one. Chewing the Fat all the way back to March. Peter in April. Bone Mom in April. Jamar in June. Oh, Lee Bauer. That's who that is. Lee Bauer, May 5th. And then, sorry, XOXO. I'm totally, gushing over the XOXO because, you know, they're an artist and I love them. And I've been listening to them for about 1.5 years now. I believe, just kind of following their, you know, their journey through, it's like an NF, you know, same artist type. So it's very real life, talking about, you know, a message of this is where I'm at, meet me where I'm at, but I'm always gonna, you know, heart on my sleeve type content, which I love. I love music that is life in real life. It's not necessarily the rom-com that I'm going to pay $20 to go watch in the movie theater. It's going to be real raw, you know. Life doesn't always give us what we want, but this is what I learned from it. Those are the best. Rawr. I updated my stuff, but I don't know if you guys can see that yet. I updated the background for the channel. Ooh. I cut off the bottom, but I'm okay with it. I'm not really okay with it. I hate that I just said that. Because it's going to drive me nuts that it's not there. Makes me want to go into Canva and just take it off completely because it's not even letting me move my photo. You know, like how you can move your photo. It's not even letting me move my photo around to show it. It's making me cut it off no matter what. And I'm like, I don't like it. There it is. It's going to be cut off halfway, but as long as I can get it somewhat centered, I won't bother me, right? Too much? Yeah, right. Y'all know me. I'm too OCD for this. I'm trying to center it off tempo. Maybe that'll work. Hopefully you guys can see it. And I even have a new cover photo I'm supposed to be putting up, but I haven't yet. All right. Ooh, we got the 65. I'm getting it to 66.6, but I don't know if I can get there. So obviously it's that'd be 67, 67, blah, blah. But I love you guys. Thank you again so much for popping in, saying hi to each other and to me. Don't forget, I love your face. Have a good rest of your day. Who just popped in? I got a number. Stosey. Is that Stosey again? It don't let me see who it is. Like on the other one, like when I'm on the computer, let me see. Oh, hit the 66. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Love you guys. Ending now.